Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 515, the Ultra Podcast. I'm your host, Larry Ryan. If you're listening to this on the day of release, it's also the first day of Ultraman Canada 2026. I want to extend my best wishes to all the athletes and crews participating. Maybe some of you are actually listening while crewing. If you are, please send me a video or a picture of you and your crew in your vehicle. Now, regular listeners know I started this podcast to promote Ultraman Canada during my time as co-race director with Brad Sawa. Unfortunately, that working relationship didn't last and I stepped away. However, I've continued to maintain my connection with the Ohana through this show. And you may have noticed that I don't actively promote the Ultraman Canada brand anymore. After I left, I intended to return as a crew member, but I was told by Brad that I wasn't welcome. That was a tough moment in my life, as the Ultraman Canada race has been a massive part of my life since 2010, back in the Steve Brown days when this event was incredibly popular. For those interested in the history of how Ultraman returned to Penticton, while Steve Brown ran his Ultra 520K brand, I recommend going back to the final 15 minutes of Season 1, Episode 10, Skater Boy to Family Man. That's the episode where Brad and I talk about how it all happened. Moving to this year's event, I've been informed that Brad Sawa is not involved. Instead, Ultraman owners Cheryl and Dave Cobb, along with other board members, have taken over. It seems they are now managing 3 of the 4 Ultraman races, including Florida and Hawaii. There's been some online chatter in the past couple of weeks regarding low registration numbers. 8 competitors for a second year in a row at Ultraman Canada. My friend Van Sanchez, who is there on the ground, has been working hard to keep the brand in the spotlight, especially since he joined the official Ultraman brand with his race in Mexico. I truly appreciate his focus on community unity and all that he does for 515 racing. So if you want updates on the 8 athletes, follow the official Ultraman Instagram accounts, because I'm sure Van will be posting there. You know, it's a massive undertaking to organize an event of this scale, and I applaud the current board for their decision to keep this race on the calendar for the 8 athletes. The athletes themselves continue to find deep value in these experiences and the friendships forged along the way. The original race in Hawaii is going to celebrate its 40th anniversary this November, and my guest today is a veteran of that scene. So we should probably get on with it. Once again, good luck to all the athletes and crews racing on this iconic course in the heart of triathlon, Penticton, British Columbia, and all the best to the team putting it together for them.
You're listening to 515, the Ultra Podcast, the show that invites you into the lives of people who make up the Ultra family. Here's your host for these conversations, Larry Ryan.
Thanks, MJ. Today's guest has made a brief appearance here before and is back again to share about why he continues to come back to 515 racing, even after it nearly ended his life. And the reason? It's exactly what you think. Today's Ohana guest has competed in 6 Ultraman races, over a dozen iron distance races, as well as multiple ITU World Championships and Ultra Marathons. He gave up his professional job to seek something greater and more fulfilling. That led him to opening a gym and pursuing a life enveloped in fitness. He spends his time now working as a speaker and sharing his knowledge as a personal trainer. He is passionate about living a great life and aging well. Joining me from his home in Jarvis Bay, Alberta, the man who runs ScottyFit.com, Scott McDermott. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Larry. It's really good to be here. That's a cool little graphic.
Yeah, just showing how close together we are. Just a little hop over the Rocky Mountains. But
That's right.
For the rest of the worldwide audience, maybe we can take a second just to geolocate where you're coming from. By the time this episode airs, my podcast should have been downloaded in 150 countries because we're at 149 now in over 2,600 cities. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, you should be. I know when Peter's podcast, the globe spun all the way around. Now I just went beep.
Yes. So Jarvis Bay, that's next to Sylvan Lake in Alberta, which is approximately halfway between Edmonton and Calgary, kind of off the highway from Red Deer. Is that right?
That is exactly correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We're smack in the middle of Edmonton, Calgary. It's an hour and a half either way. And we're just 20 minutes to the west of Red Deer.
Mm-hmm. So who do you cheer for in the Battle of Alberta when it comes to hockey and football then?
I don't. Yeah, when I was at architecture college in Edmonton, of course, I was all about the Edmonton Oilers. But Wayne Gretzky and Fuhr and Mary, like everybody was in it. I can't even speak hockey anymore. Messier, there you go.
Yes.
They were all the big names back then, and I cared in college. And then now it's not that I don't care. I just don't spend any time on it. But if I did have to choose, it would be Edmonton in both cases.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
So we're saying you're close to Sylvan Lake, and that's kind of like your area. You've been named Sylvan Lake Citizen of the Year twice, I believe. And you received the Lieutenant Governor's Award for Community Fitness there. Tell me, what are you contributing to the community that has earned you these esteemed awards?
Oh, that's a big question. It's changed a lot over the years, but I've organized and been race director for a sprint triathlon, a half iron triathlon. We've done the Father's Day 10K for quite a few years. I've organized the Terry Fox run in town for 21 years. We did the zombie run where we rented a golf course and had people chasing dressed as zombies, trying to grab ribbons off your belt. We did that for about 3 or 4 years. We've done an amazing race in Sylvan Lake. I was active in Rotary, the Chamber of Commerce. I speak to the high school on nutrition and fitness twice a year in all the different classes. It's more often now. So I don't know, I guess just a bunch of things. There's other things too. Just if there's something fitnessy, we did human curling at Winterfest for a while where we have people leap on big rubber tubes and try to be the curling rock. And I don't know, I was always like, how can we be having fun, being fit and healthy? And whenever somebody said, hey, do you want to? Yeah.
So when they need somebody to organize something, they call you.
Yeah. I'm also the race director for the Innisfail Triathlon coming up in September in Innisfail, Alberta, which is just up the road from us. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, how does, getting these awards and being the Citizen of the Year kind of change your perspective of what your role is in the community? Do you see yourself more as a leader than just an athlete in the community then?
I guess so. I don't want to take anything away from awards like that, but it's like, oh, that was nice. That's not why I do it. Do you know what I mean? Like wow, that was really nice. Thank you very much. I hope that other people go, hey, I want to do more.
Yeah.
I don't, it's always a crazy big surprise when I'm nominated for something and then I win. I'm like, oh, what? Okay, cool. But it doesn't change anything. I'm just doing it because I want the world. I just believe that, especially as a small business owner, because I used to run a gym with 27 staff and 1,000 members. That was a bit of a different world than it is now. But I just believe that if every small business is in an environment where they can succeed, then they have a little bit extra they can give back to the community, and just everybody's life is a little better. We were always sponsoring hockey teams and baseball teams and volleyball teams and soccer teams. And when a small business thrives, they do that, and that makes the world better. And I just wanted to make the world a little better.
Yeah. And I think that probably would come from how you grew up, maybe. You've spoken before about how you've grown up. That when you were as a child, not as in the most. How can I put this?
Yeah, no,
you
I hear
weren't
you.
in the best environment, and maybe that led you to this idea of I want to give back more, and maybe especially to kids in this way.
Yeah. I love my parents. Obviously, they were wonderful people. They've both passed away now, but they were caught in the trap of alcoholism and all that garbage. And so that created a certain childhood that was what it was.
Yeah.
And so I've spent my life trying to grow from that and create a different reality. And so if I can be something different, like, yeah, you never want to say anything. I'm not trying to say anything bad against my parents. They were stuck in a trap.
Yeah.
Right. They were alcoholics. It sucked. It was what it was. But as a father, I try to be the best parent I can, like any father does. And I'm screwing up my son in a new way. I don't drink and smoke and do drugs, but my son still has challenges, right? He's a teenager and there's nothing you can do about that. But I'm always just trying to create that better world, I guess, than I got in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think we mentioned it in the opening here. You actually started in a career in architecture, but you said that left you overweight and sick and stressed, and you had to leave that life behind. What was it like back at that time for you?
Yeah, going into high school, I wanted to be a gym teacher, which was ironic because you're a gym teacher. And they said, no, look, you need a real career. You're really good at drafting and all these different things. And so I did enjoy drawing buildings and deadlines. I have ADHD, so when I hyper focus, I can do some pretty cool things. And it was good. But I wanted to make junior partner in the firm. So I was working really long days and managing a team of people and doing site inspections and all this kind of stuff and tons of stress. I had no idea how to feed myself. I was just on the news. It says we should eat low fat. Okay. I didn't know what I was doing. And so after 13 years of architecture, I was 240 odd pounds and no muscle mass. And I was just sick and broken all the time. I had broken my back in high school in gymnastics class. I broke my back and it just hurt all the time. Like I just was always in pain. 29 years old and I felt like I was 60. And I was like, this is garbage. Like, what am I? There's got to be another way to do this. And I finally went to a doctor that just said, well, you got to eat right and exercise and take care of yourself. And I thought, well, I think I could do that. I joined a gym, met a trainer, and within 5 months, I had dropped 40 pounds of fat and put on 18 pounds of muscle. And I had a six pack and everything was different. Everything was better. And then pretty soon there's 50 people in the office and they're all kind of like walking up to my desk like, how did you do that? Can you help me a little? Because at first they were making fun of me. Oh yeah. McDermott's gonna not eat sugar. Like they didn't believe it.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you couldn't help but notice I was a completely different person.
Yeah.
And so then I got my certifications and then I started working in a couple different gyms in the weekends and evenings, part-time, because I loved it. And I went to a personal development course, like a Tony Robbins kind of thing where you walk on fire and do all these things. And I came back to work on Sunday night and Monday morning, I was like, whoosh, here's my resignation, 2 weeks from associate partner. And they were like, what are you doing? My mom was, what are you doing? My wife, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm on the top of the ladder on the wrong building. This isn't what I'm supposed to do with my life. I don't want to lock in to this. So I just went to work at a couple of gyms. And then I realized that you can't really pay the bills just being a part-time trainer. And so we sacrificed everything and mortgaged everything.
Did you have the growing family at that point?
Nope. It was just me and my wife.
Okay.
Which did make it a little easier to pivot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were trying to get pregnant, but we hadn't had success with that yet. That actually took 15 years to have a child, which I was like, man, if I'd have known that this was going to be this hard, I wouldn't have worried about it when I was a teenager. No, that's a dumb idea. But yeah, no, it was easier to pivot that way. And we just had some family that was willing to support us in the journey. And so we mortgaged ourselves to the hilt and I built a gym and it was awesome. I was in my groove.
Yeah. So tell me more about that. Tell me about this, the gym that you built up. You said you had 27 staff? Like this must have been a massive gym.
Yeah, it was a 15,000 square foot building. We started at 10,000 and we outgrew it within about 3 years. And it just was awesome. We created this really amazing family sort of thing. And I guess I kind of found my groove in a sense. I mean, you're never perfect being a boss. You always make lots of mistakes and there's things I wish I would have done differently, of course. But in general, lots of the teenagers that were in high school loved having me as their first boss and that being their first job because it was like the cool job in town, right? You weren't schlepping burgers and junk. You were at a gym. And so we created this really fun family atmosphere for the staff. We had a ton of fun together. We enjoyed what we did. We were up to good things. And I really enjoyed how much I learned about myself, about other people, about being a boss. Because I had no idea what I was doing. But I did have a business coach that helped and I learned a ton. But we just had so much fun and we really cared. And I think that echoed. And so we were quite successful in that sense. Never really financially, but we got by. We stayed open in the tough times. And yeah, we built something really nice. And even what I love too is when I walk around Sylvan Lake now, because of course I lost everything in 2020 when gyms became illegal suddenly. And we had to shut it all down. It all went away. Sold off all my equipment and lost whatever. But even now when I walk around town, people are like, oh, I miss your gym so much. Yeah. So that's nice. Yeah, we did some good things. And it allowed me the freedom to go, okay, this is sort of, I've got a great team and a great gym and a great environment. And I want a goal. And there was a little half Ironman in town. And I watched these people rip by and I was like, that looks cool. I wonder if I could do that. Like I could not drown. I've never swam laps, but I was like, I could not drown. I can swim and I could ride the heck out of a spin bike for an hour. And I used to run more before I broke my back, but my back was healed and I was strong again. I could pick up running again. I wonder if I could finish a half Ironman. I wonder if I could do that. And I hired a coach and yeah, my whole life just went whoosh, somewhere else.
Yeah. So you're hiring these coaches. You hired a coach for triathlon. You had a coach or mentor for your business. Like you trust in coaching. That's fair to say.
100%. Yeah. I think I currently have 5 coaches. 4. Andrew's my main business coach. He's been my business coach since 2000. He's actually just retiring this year. And then I have Tobias as my business and marketing online coaching coach. And then I have Michelle, who's with TriSutto, Michelle Barnes. She's my triathlon coach. And I also have just hired a PhD nutrition coach because I want to make sure that I'm optimal this year for racing. I'm having some strange gut issues going on. And because she's a PhD doctor, she's ordered a bunch of tests to find out, well, what's going on? Why aren't you digesting properly? Because I've tried all the tricks and like I'm at an impasse. So I love, because a coach solves problems you can't see. They're invisible to me, right? I've tried all the things I know. It's still not working. I need somebody who's got a different opinion than I do or a different knowledge point. Yeah. And I love, like Michelle and Brett Sutton are phenomenal triathlon coaches. And I love that I just do what Michelle says. I don't have to think about my training because like I've self-coached for a couple different things. I self-coached for the world champs in 2018 after my coach before Craig Percival passed away. I self-coached for a year and a half. And it's okay, but inevitably my workouts were more about like, well, I'm always tired on Monday, so I won't do very much. And then Tuesdays are really busy, so I'll just do a little. You can't do that. Yeah. Like, that's not how you get ready. You got to have somebody go, hey, you got to do this ignorant thing. Well, I don't want to do an ignorant thing. Yeah, too bad, buddy. Yeah. So I love coaching. I love having a coach. I love being a coach.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. And so when your gym shut down, you kept the coaching going. You do personal training. You do nutrition. Yep. In particular, you do a lot of nutritional stuff. What do you got going on that side?
So I have a kind of a hybrid program because I have a few people that I coach in person. I've renovated our garage, or 2 bays of our garage as a gym. And so I have a few people that I coach in person. And then I've got about 20 people that I coach online, and I do lots of nutrition stuff. I've got nutrition programs that I've completely built that are all set up and systemized, like the 21-day nutrition reset, and I've got a 6-week program, and every week I get to invest a couple days designing a PowerPoint where I get to teach on nutrition, psychology, biomechanics, heart rate, whatever. We're at meeting 145, so I've been doing like every Wednesday for a long time. 3 years almost. So it's really fun.
Is that the purpose of your studio that you're sitting in now? Is that from there?
It is. Yeah, this is a little broom closet above in the ceiling space of the stairs in the back of the house. I built this after the gym shut down because I knew I wanted to level up the product I was delivering to people as a coach. I wanted my meetings to sound better. I wanted to improve what I was doing. Yeah. In a sense.
So now you do a lot of this online coaching. You've got your nutrition programs. Is this sustaining you for your lifestyle? Because this triathlon thing's not.
Yeah, it's okay. It's amazing. I'm a Christian, and I'm very fortunate that when we shut down my gym in 2020 and sold off all the equipment, then all of a sudden we've got a 15,000 square foot empty building that's still really expensive every month. Mortgage payments, and even with the heat turned low, it was still crushing. And there was a local church in town that was looking for a new building. They'd outgrown where they had been for 10 years or whatever. And so they leased our building from us to cover that. So that became a bit of a salvation in the sense that it covers that crazy big expense, and there's a little sugar on the top that adds to my work and my wife's work, and we're doing okay. We're getting by. Yeah.
I didn't mean to pry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
We're like everybody. We're trying to make it work, right? Well, how do you wiggle this through? So
yeah. So recently I had Peter Hudson on the podcast, and your stories are kind of similar in that, he's a gym owner, lost a lot of business during COVID, works personal training. And people who listen to that episode, they know what happened. But some listeners probably haven't heard that. And I would like to hear about this experience from your point of view anyway. And, he was talking about how your relationship between the two of you has changed his life, because he was the first one on the scene at your accident when you were racing at the World Championships. So can you tell us a little bit from your perspective about that experience?
Yeah, and it's fun because that experience starts a little earlier than the race. So as you know, one of the things we love about 515 is it's ohana, it's family, it's different. It's different than Ironman. It's different than all the other. It's a family because we're going through this crazy difficult thing kind of together because you see each other out there on the road, stuff like that. Now, Craig Percival was my coach at the time in 2015.
And people know
he's
that.
Australian. Yeah, he's an amazing. He did 8 and 8 and 8 in Australia, 8 Ironmans in 8 days in 8 provinces of Australia. Crazy, amazing human being. But he knew Peter, and so when Craig and I were talking as the race was coming to be in 2015, he's like, "Oh yeah, you got to talk to Peter and Adam," and I was like, "Okay, great." So I reached out to them on socials. "Hey guys, I hear you know Craig, and I'm going to Ultraman too, and hey, let's connect. If you got any questions, I've done the race once before. I don't know if I can be helpful." So we had this little bit of an opening, and we met a couple times, and then I volunteered to be at package pickup for the rookies in the afternoon. So I met Peter and I met Adam, and we shook hands. We chatted about the race, and they asked some questions, and it was great. It was fine. And then the race started. And I remember waiting for my massage at the end of day one, and I was sitting beside Peter, and he handed me a Vegemite sandwich. So you knew he was Australian. And we had a little laugh, and there's this one little photo of him and I sitting on these plastic chairs waiting to get a massage, and I'm eating a Vegemite sandwich beside Peter, and it was great. So we knew each other.
Sidebar here.
Yeah.
What's your feeling on Vegemite?
Oh, it's a no.
Okay, good.
That's just salty, yucky. I don't know what no thanks.
Yeah. All right.
I get that if you're in the Australian outback and times are hard and you absolutely need some sort of vegetable source that won't rot, Vegemite is awesome.
Yes.
But outside of that, it's a no for me.
Yeah. Sorry, Australian fans.
Yeah. Hey, salty. Yeah, no, but that's okay. I was very much appreciative of the Vegemite sandwich. And then, yeah, we chatted it up a little bit in the morning and I rocketed off on day 2. I love to go downhill fast. So I tend to make up a bit of a gap at the start of day 2 and then slowly catch people or pass through them. And Peter and Adam were a little bit ahead of me. So I had to work to catch them and I caught up to Peter and we were coming up beside each other, going through the gullies in Hawaii. And we were going up this bit of a climb. We were just chatting it up and because, you're not drafting when you're going up a 12% grade. So we weren't worried about drafting. We were chatting a little bit. And he was like, we've only got a half Ironman left. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. But I was really committed that year to try and push to do as well as I could. Like I had this, I wonder if I can be top 5. And Peter was 10th and or 11th. I passed him, putting me in 10th. And I could see the crew van for 9 more often. So I knew I was gaining on 9th and I was just ripping along on a bit of a downhill in a light rain. And then I woke up in a hospital. Then that's literally what my memory is. Chatting with Peter and then waking up in a hospital going, what happened? Where's my bike? How did I get here? And my best friend Lyle was sitting in the chair at the end of the room and he stood up and I had stuff sticking out of me and I had metal staples holding my skull together and everything hurt. And it was, yeah. So there was a whole piece there that happened that I didn't know about until I saw the video footage much later.
Right.
But yeah, we know kinetically and from Peter's story and stuff that I moved over to go up on the footpath to avoid some traffic oncoming. And my wheel slid out on the algae. So, because Adam said, yeah, the algae was so bad, he fell on his butt running to me. So my wheel just slid to the right and I put my hand down and I sprained my wrist. I broke my arm in 3 pieces. I shattered my shoulder. I busted 5 ribs and then I just started to ragdoll. And my helmet spun because my strap wasn't tight. I was one of those dummies like, oh, I don't like it tight. It hurts. Tighten up your damn strap. Anyway, my helmet spun and I at some point flipped over and I cracked my skull on the concrete and broke my skull open, exposing my brain. And I had split my face open and I tore my MCL and busted a bunch of cartilage in my knee. It was a thing. And
it was a thing.
Yeah, Peter was right behind me.
Yeah. He describes it as when he walked up onto you, he thought he was walking up to a dead person.
Yeah. Peter and Adam both thought I was dead.
How bad it was.
Yeah, it was it was not good. Yeah. It's not good at all.
And at the time you were making this documentary.
Yeah.
You didn't know that the documentary was going to be about this. What was
change.
the purpose of the documentary before all of this happened? What were you thinking?
Wow. So now you just asked unintentionally, I think, a really deep question, which I think is, why do we do these crazy hard races? Because they are.
Yeah.
Ultraman's really freaking hard. Ironman's really hard. And it's like, why do you do this? And for me, it came to the mental realization that I was broken inside. I still had the baggage from being an adult child of an alcoholic family and all that crap where I didn't believe I was good enough and I didn't believe I was worthy. And I was trying to prove to my family that I was good enough. Mm-hmm. And so I kept trying the next level hard thing to prove that I was good enough. So I did Ironman and they didn't notice. Mm-hmm. And then I did that for a while. And then I made it on Team Canada. And I went to the World Championships in Holland. And they didn't notice. And I went to the World Championships in Australia. And they didn't notice. And then I was talking with an Australian, Nick Mallett, leading into the 2010 Ironman race in Penticton. And I was sitting for lunch with my friend Cheryl, and Nick was there, and he's like, oh, mate, you got to give Ultraman a try. And I was like, shut up. Those guys are nuts. And then he was like, well, think about it. You could swim for 10K if you had a kayak feeding you water. Like, once you get into steady state swimming, you could swim for a long time. Swimming's not that. It's like, yeah, okay. And he says, and you're really solid on the bike, because I'd done 400 kilometer fundraisers for cancer, and I'd done all these crazy things. I'm a pretty strong cyclist. So I knew, he's like, you could crush day 1 and day 2 on the bike. And I was like, yeah, but a double marathon, come on, that's ridiculous. And he goes, but think about it. what's your marathon time? I'm like 3:28-ish. And he goes, okay, so back it off to 4 hours, take a half-hour break to change your shoes. You still got like 7 hours to do a marathon. You can walk it and finish. And I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. So I signed up for Ultraman Canada and I did it in 2011. Yeah. And again, partly because I wanted the challenge and for my own enjoyment of the sport and all that stuff, but partly to go, oh, my family will notice this. They'll see that. And they didn't. Yeah. Didn't notice. They didn't care. Like, just never even asked a question about it. Yeah. So then I went to the World Championships. So my son was born in 2012. I took a year off, and then I went to the World Championships in 2013. And I placed 21st in the world. And we went home for Christmas, and they never said a word. And after 10 days at home, my wife got sick of it. She started to bring it up. And I was like, honey, just let it go. This is just awkward now. Don't bring it up. Because they never asked. They never said, hey, were you at the World Championship and placed 21st in the world? What was that like? Nobody ever asked that question. And so then I thought, well, I'll make a movie and then they could see it, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, so this was all subconscious. This wasn't, I didn't understand this until after the crash, but we were making a film because I thought it'd be really cool to make a movie to show 515 to the world because nobody knows about it. It doesn't get the press. It doesn't get the news. It doesn't get the coverage. It's this quiet little race. There's no prize money. You get a crisp high five and a medal, so I thought it'd be really fun to make a short movie because I go to the Banff Mountain Film Festival World Tour every year. We watch all these great films. And I was like, we could make a film this good. So I hired my buddy Drew to make a short film. And then the plot changed and he kept filming. And it shifted to be this regular kind of guy's attempt to try and be top 5 to can Scotty recover and make it back to the World Championships after a near life-ending crash. And the movie became really something else. Yeah. So, yeah.
And can you tell me some more about that recovery? Because it was grueling. You were on the podcast in first season, second season, when you were first releasing this, and we talked about it briefly. But tell us again, like, what was this recovery like for you? There was some really brutal times in there, and for people that are just catching up, the documentary it is available on YouTube. If you want to pause the podcast and go see it and come back and or watch it afterwards, I'll have the link in the show notes. Hello, listener. I love getting your feedback and suggestions for the podcast. Keep them coming at 515ultraman@gmail.com. For those that want to help me promote the show, I suggest that you tell a friend to listen to. Word of mouth is a great way for podcasts to get new listeners. And if you don't mind publishing your feelings, a free way to support the show is by leaving a 5-star rating and review on your podcast app. It's a chance to tell me what you love about the show, and it helps others discover it too. Finally, if you're so inclined, you can show your appreciation for my work by clicking the support link at the bottom of the show notes to go to my Buy Me a Coffee page. Thanks for all of your feedback and support. Now back to the show. But yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about that recovery?
Yeah, the movie's 82 minutes, so get a snack. Make some popcorn.
I got it up on the screen for the people on YouTube right now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that recovery period was really something else for a lot of reasons. One was being in the American medical system as a Canadian. Their big concern is, do you have any medical insurance? Because this is expensive. Yeah. And so I was in the brain trauma unit at Queen's Medical in Oahu, and I'd broken my skull open. I had hemorrhaging to the frontal lobes, and I had a brain injury called a diffuse axonal scarring, where the white matter and the gray matter of your brain get torn apart from the sheer force. Oof. Plus, I had the point impact at the base where my skull broke open. And that my arm was broken in half, and they didn't x-ray far up enough to notice that. They just weren't worried about it. They were so worried about my brain. My shoulder was shattered. But they basically were like, just go home to Canada where they'll fix all this. So we did. The flight home was awful. And of course, my son was 1.5 years old. So my wife was trying to take care of my son, and I'm bleeding from the head, and I couldn't think. I couldn't stay awake. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't drive. Like, I couldn't lift. It was a mess. It was not cool. I was slurring my words. I couldn't concentrate. Anyway, we got back to Canada, and I went to my doctor, and I was like, my arm really hurts, and my shoulder's like hanging off. And so I got x-rays, and they're like, holy crap, your arm is in 3 pieces and your shoulder's shattered. You need surgery. So they put a piece of metal in, put another piece of metal in, rebuilt me, but they were really worried about the brain injury. So then I saw a neurologist, and I had a CAT scan and an MRI, and they're just like, holy crap, dude, how are you even speaking? Because you have one of the worst brain injuries there is. And I remember asking my doctor about it. And it was about a month later, and I said, hey, Dr. Godelli, how's my recovery going? She said, what do you mean? I said, well, how, compared to other people with this injury, how's my recovery? She says, I don't know. I have nothing compared to. According to the textbooks, you should be in a vegetative state, unable to speak. So you're doing awesome. So that was a little shocking, because you kind of just think, oh, it's fine. I'll be good. Just give me my bike. Let's go. You think no big deal it.
Yeah.
But it was a big deal. I couldn't run without tripping. I had trouble walking. I couldn't remember things. I couldn't stay awake for more than an hour and a half for the first while. It was bad. It was bad. And we were living in a rental duplex because we'd sold our house, because we bought our dream property. We bought an acreage. We're like, hey, let's build a house. And then we went to Kona thinking, we'll unpack when we get home. And I'm a wreck. And so there's my poor wife with a 1.5-year-old and a broken husband and a house full of boxes in a little rental duplex. It was a thing. Yeah. And then there was a recession in Alberta, and I just about lost the gym and had to borrow money from my parents. It was a thing. And then rehab. But I just went back to the only thing I know. I started training. I hopped on a spin bike with my arm Velcroed up, and I just turned him over a couple times. And then 30 days after my surgery, I'd asked my doctor.
Was that recommended, like with a brain injury and pumping blood through your head? Like
after 3 weeks, yeah. There's actually all the research that shows it's one of the best things you can do once the healing process has begun.
Okay.
And the other thing that I did that was really good is I did hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I actually reached out to my friend Alan Evans, who owns Hyperbaric Chamber in Red Deer, because I had used that before to rehab from a sprained ankle before a race, because I'd sprained my ankle and I had a race in like 3 or 4 weeks. So hyperbaric oxygen, they put you in a pressurized cylinder, like for scuba divers. They pressurize it to 1 atmosphere, like 33 feet below sea level. And then you breathe pure oxygen for an hour and your body heals faster.
Right.
And I reached out to Alan, actually from the hospital. I said, hey, I'm all broken and I got a brain injury. Will hyperbaric help? He's like, oh, yes, it will. You get your butt in here as soon as you can. So I went 5 days a week for 3 months. I really think it saved my brain in a lot of senses. So that helped. And then just easy cardio. I just started with easy cardio. Yeah. And the doctor said, once the metal plates have set in a month, you can go for a little run. So I did. I went, there was 1.4 kilometers, and it took me like 15 minutes or something. And I came home and I actually peed out black urine. It was anesthesia. My toilet smelled like a hospital room. It was gross. So the peristalsis, the jostling, the lymph nodes flushed out whatever was hanging on.
Oh, yeah.
And what was exciting about that was the next day I got my sense of taste back, because the doctor's like, we don't know. You might never get your sense of taste back.
Yeah.
Which I was not thrilled about.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened to Lucy. When Lucy had her injury, she has not got her taste back.
Yeah.
Brain injury as well from biking.
Yeah. My neurologist, Dr. Imokwede, one of the things he said to me that I thought was profound, he said a brain injury is like taking a laptop that is running a bunch of programs and smashing it on the ground as hard as you can. Pick it up, reboot it, see what still works. Yeah. And it's different every time, every person. So I was super lucky, but I was trying to run a business and I'm the marketing guy. And I didn't have anything that you could hand to anyone. I just did it all. And now all of a sudden, I'm not doing it all. And it's January and we're a gym and we're doing nothing. And so we just started to nosedive. So it was really hard financially, emotionally, mentally, physically. It was a long haul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where did the name the Warrior Code come from?
Okay, don't laugh, but it's from Rocky 4. There's a song by Survivor in Rocky 4 called In the Burning Heart. And in the middle of that song, it says, in the warrior's code, there's no surrender. Though the body says stop, the spirit cries never. Deep in our heart, a quiet ember knows it's you against you. It's the paradox that drives us on. And I love that song. As a teenager, going through hard times with all the crap that was going on with parents and bullies and all that junk. And so that just had always spoke to me. And the course that I went to that got me to quit my job was called Enlightened Warrior Training.
Oh.
And so just that whole warrior thing just has always resonated. And not warrior in a negative battle, kill people warrior, but warrior in the sense of
not
like...
in a Pete Hegseth way.
Yeah. Warrior in a being your best and shining your light as bright as you can and helping other people warrior.
Yeah.
Right? Like not surrendering to challenges, leaning into the strain of challenge. That warrior spoke to me. And so, yeah, that's where Warrior Code training came from. Living the Warrior Code, which is that thing where you don't quit when it's hard.
Right. And how did you end up like choosing that logo and where does that come from?
This is great. I actually had a local Canadian lady and I was like, hey, can you design me a logo? I love Haida art and like I like Indigenous heritage that's done well. I love. Yeah. Can you design me a logo that's got like an eagle and like a yin yang and looks kind of Canadianish? And this was her first draft. And I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
We don't need to change anything. This is a piece of art. This is my logo. It's tattooed on my calf. Like, yeah, she crushed it. It was amazing.
Yeah. Now you've taken that film and you've shown it at some of the film festivals. I'll go back to that on the, you've got your awards or showings there on the label. What has it meant to you to share the movie and what does it mean for you now that it's still out there?
It's really neat in a lot of different senses. Like we got to go to New York Film Festival and we won audience favorite in the Central Alberta Film Festival. It was really neat. That was a fun journey. But of course we launched the film in 2019 and within a minute it was 2020 and everything went, but whatever. One of the most powerful things, there's a couple, we toured it around Alberta towards the end of 2020 when things were opening up a little-ish and we were able to have limited seating in theaters. And so we would rent some local theaters and play the movie. And I got to take it up to my hometown in Fort St. John, BC. And my mom saw the film and my brother saw the film and my uncle and some of my cousins. And I kind of felt seen. But by then so that's the one thing. It was pretty neat to be seen and to inspire people. But the second thing that's been really amazing about it is, and we talk about it in the film, in 2018, getting ready for the World Champs to go for my comeback race, I was training in Arizona with my coach, Michelle, and I was running down a mountain. And I was running with a couple of really elite athletes and trying to stay with them kind of thing, including Michelle. And the demons in my head were beaking off. I call it IBSHIC, the itty bitty shitty committee. You're such a loser. Everybody hates you. What are you doing? You can't run with these people. They don't even want you here. Shut your mouth. Nobody wants you to even talk. What are you doing? I had horrible voices in my head. Were unkind, which I inherited from childhood. You're a loser. Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. Shut up. That was rolling through my head and I tripped. And I fell and I sprained 6 fingers. I gloved one, pulled one back. They had to sew it back on to the bone. Like it was a whole thing. So all of a sudden I'm in the hospital and they're pulling my fingers back together. And I'm sitting there going, what is going on? How come every time you're about to succeed at something, something dumb happens? Like what is going on here? And then I found out about a fella named Inge Jarl Clausen, who's, he lives in Germany in Kiefersfelden. He's from, I can't remember if he's Norwegian or anyway, he practices this traditional healing method called vegetative training, which Inaki de la Pera, who won Ultraman Worlds, had done. And I was talking to Inaki at one point and go, hey, I know you had some stuff you went through and you healed. He's, oh, you got to call Inga. Okay. So I actually flew to Germany and spent a week learning his techniques, which is basically, it's kind of like the North American thing, TRE, trauma release experience, but he hates it when you say that because theirs is much different in a sense, but it's breathing techniques where you access trauma, memories, childhood junk, trauma, all that crap.
Right.
And
some people do that with drugs.
Yeah.
But that's not your style. So you're going breathing.
No, that's right. I just breathing. And he processed me through a lot of things. For one, I was adopted, but I spent 6 months in a hospital from birth to 6 months because I had a hiatus hernia, so I was defective, so they wouldn't adopt me out. So I spent 6 months in a hospital. And he started teaching me about abandonment theory and how your brain wires that way and that echoes. And all of a sudden, leading into the 2018 World Championships, I realized that one of the reasons I was doing ultra endurance stuff was to prove that I was good enough. And every time I got close to being awesome, my self-identity as a loser short-circuited and was like, no, you're not awesome. You have to stop. And it would stop me. And sometimes destructively. And so I learned about that and learned to just be okay with the process and to just truly love the sport for the sport without trying to prove anything to anybody.
Right.
And it's been this huge weight lifted off of me. And now I race because it's fun and I enjoy it and it's challenging. I want to take myself out for a test drive versus trying to prove to my family I'm good enough. I don't really care if they think I'm good enough. I am good enough. Thank you very much. So that was a huge journey. And so I love sharing the film because that dialogue is in there and that growth and that journey is in there. And if maybe somebody sees that and goes, wait a minute, I'm good enough. Hallelujah. Right? Yeah. It's worthy.
How is it? You've come over that hurdle. You're training again, and this is in the film as well. But how is it that you're able to get back on a bike, think about going at speed, and racing that same course again? Like, where did you get any help on that mental journey?
No. I was lucky in a sense, I guess, or personality lucky or whatever. But first of all, I don't remember the crash, which I think is a gift. My hard drive stopped recording and it didn't hang on to that. So I don't have flashbacks of that memory, which is good. Yeah. But I will say, when I'm ripping down a mountainside at 80 kilometers an hour, there's a part of my brain goes, and I'm like, shut up. I'm fine. Just, I got it. I got this. So I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
And especially with having a son, because it never occurred to me that I could die doing triathlon. It occurred to me that I could get some road rash and maybe sprain something or whatever, but it never occurred to me that I could die. So now I don't chase 90 kilometers an hour downhill. I'm fine with 70. So it has shifted it a bit, but that's one of the beautiful things about my childhood that it took me a long time to see is that all of those challenges, and I was bullied and, blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of stories of childhood. They made me really strong. I don't quit. I just don't quit. And that's just kind of been my developed personality. And it's part of 515. You got to be the person who doesn't quit.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
It's a mental game as much as a physical game.
It is. You can do all the training you want, but when you get there on the race course, it's just you. And I love Ultraman and 515 because you got a crew. Your buddies are there. And so I love that whole thing where it's like, well, I'm going to take myself out for a test drive. Let's go. Let's see what happens. And then we'll just correct and continue as it unfolds with whatever happens. And there's a richness to that. Like even the world champs I just did in 2025, like I had a brand new crew Craig and Chuck, because my previous crew, they've been through the emotional ringer. They're like, yeah, we don't want to do this anymore. It's too hard. So I have a brand new, fresh crew, super great guys, Chuck and Craig. They're amazing people, just absolutely amazing people. And I remember before the race, they're like, because they're all in the mindset of like, how do we do this? And I was like, guys, you're amazing people. Just be amazing. You'll just do the right thing in the moment. Stuff will come up and we'll just handle it. And they did. They were amazing. They won the Kokua Award. Like, they're such good guys. And we had so much fun. And it was so hard. And it was all those things.
Yeah. And you're planning on going back again for this year's race as well, right? So how's the training going for that?
It's hit and miss. It's good. I have been accepted to go back in 2026 for the 40th anniversary of the Worlds, which is kind of cool. It's going well. Training camp in Arizona in February was excellent. Just feeling really strong and really good. It's never enough. I always want to be faster, always want to be stronger, always want to be leaner. So
of course.
It's a process, but it's going quite well. We're still early season. We're 35 weeks out, so it's still ongoing, and always want to be stronger, fitter, faster, all those things, but I'm working on it. It's coming along. I'm really excited to go back. Yeah. It'll be Chuck and Craig's second time crewing, so they'll be more comfortable, I think, in that sense, but they've signed on to be there again, and excellent. I'm stoked to see what happens. Like, I'm 57 this year, so it's different.
And do you share this with your own athletes? Do you tell them about what you're doing for your training and how you're feeling, and when you're down, and when you miss a day, and how does that all go for you?
Yeah, all the time. Like, I really lead by example. I'm not fit because I read about it in a book. I'm fit because I was fat and I read it about it and I lived it and I've gone through it and I've broken and I've recovered. And I mean, the number of times I've had doctors say, well, you're not going to race again. You want to bet? Right? Like, the human body is so capable of recovering and growing, and people don't give it enough credit. And so I like to lead by example. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. So I totally share that. I share the lows and I share the appropriateness of it. Like, I felt Tuesday night like I was getting a bit of a cold. I did my bike ride on Tuesday and my lungs felt like they were raw and kind of burning. And then that night I was having coughing fits and I felt a little gross. And so what I've taught my people that I teach is, like, you have green days, yellow days, and red days. So green day, everything's good amount of sleep, good water, good nutrition, everything's feeling great, good. Crush your training. Push yourself as hard as you can. Yellow day, well, I didn't get a great sleep. I didn't get all my food in. I'm a little dehydrated. Back off a little. Red day, I'm getting a cold. I'm stressed to the limits. Then don't. Just go for a walk. Right. And I show them that. So yesterday, I had a 2-hour sufferfest and I just canceled it. I'm like, no, my body's fighting a cold. Yeah. It's not, your body doesn't see, if you're fighting a cold, you do a 2-hour sufferfest, your body doesn't go, wow, he's really dedicated. Your body sees that as a threat.
Yes.
So there's a time to just back off.
Yeah. How often does your watch match what you feel in your green, yellow red when it's telling you, hey, today's a good workout day?
Yeah. We call her Mrs. G. She's a jerk. You're overreaching. I do a training set and you go, 72 hours recovery. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Yeah. She told me not to train every day of Ultraman last year. Woke up in the morning. First thing my watch says, you need to take a recovery day. No. Yeah.
So you're going back again this year, and you raced last year. You didn't do those back-to-back races previously. What's taking you back right away this year?
I've never done a back-to-back Ironman. I've always had a year off in between because it's physically and financially draining. But the big difference in 2025, first of all, there was parts of the bike course I had forgotten how hard they were. So I want to train a little harder for some of those hills.
Forgotten for good reason.
Yeah. Oh, I think survival instinct blocked that crap out.
Yeah.
Because there's not the crash, the uphills, right? The 19% grade sections that are just soul destroying, gear snapping, life questioning. But the biggest change was on the double marathon. Started out on day 3, and it's funny. I think people think, oh, it's easy. You're all fit and trained. Yeah, no, I wake up in the morning feeling like I'm going to throw up, and I try to get some food in me. My body doesn't want any, but I get it in there anyway. And I walk to the start line, and I feel like I'm going to puke, and everything's sore. Haven't started yet. Everything's sore, and just start running. And I did a 59-minute 10K. Great, right on target. Did a 2-hour-ish half. Great, right on target. And then the sun comes up. Now it's hot. And at about 26, 27K in, I just started walking. And it was just a death march. And I didn't want to try harder. I just was like empty. And I'm sitting there going, what is going on? And got to the first marathon, but it was like 5.5 hours, which is ridiculous. And instead of leaning into the challenge, I was leaning back. And I just couldn't figure that out. I was actually negotiating in my mind, when can I just walk and still finish?
Right.
That's not my, what are you doing? That's not my mindset. So as much as it was powerful, because we bumped into Howerton and Gary Wang were at the third half marathon as volunteers.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, dude, you got to get going or you're not going to make cutoff. And so the last 2.5 hours of the double marathon were horrible. They were just unbridled suffering on max, relentless, or you're not going to make it. And it's the terrible place to be. And I sat with that for a couple of days, go like mentally, Scotty, where did you go? What happened? That's not warrior attitude. That's not you. Where did you go?
Yeah.
And so that's unfinished business. So I want to go back this year and lean into the challenge.
Right.
Especially on day 3. Day 1, day 2, I leaned into it. Great. But day 3, I backed off, and I don't want to back off this year. I don't want to be like, oh, he finished, but he should just retire. That's not how I want that to feel at the end. Right.
Right. So after the World Championship this year, do you have any other impossible goals on your horizon? Do you have any other big things you're aiming for these days?
There's a lot of impossible things. I've been writing a book about the experience, and it's been stalled because I'm so busy to finish it. But I got the raw editing up to about 120,000 words, and I'm still going through it to self-edit before I hand it to the editor. And it's been stalled for a while because I'm trying to make a living, which is taking up all my time, taking a living in training. So I'd like to finish that task and get that book done, because there's so many stories that I'd love to tell that go way deeper than the movie was able to. One of the big stories too was like when I was recovering in 2016, I started to realize how big of an impact it had on Peter and Lyle. I didn't fully understand that. And then I would post some little like, hey, I rode the spin bike for 30 minutes and Peter just lit up. And I went for a little run, and Peter would just comment, oh my gosh. And then I called him a couple times, and I realized that Peter had the 5:15 Ultraman in Australia coming up, and he couldn't get on his bike.
Right.
He would get his kit on, and he would go outside, and he would lose it and walk back in the house and put it on the trainer.
Yeah.
Like, it was horrifyingly traumatic for those guys. And so I realized that the more I recovered, the more they recovered too. So I knew that I was getting back to the Worlds in 2018 for more than just me.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring all those guys with me and heal. Mm-hmm. And that was a big deal. That was a big piece. And Peter and Adam and I have become just really great friends. I send them jerseys. We send Christmas presents back and forth once in a while. It's, I can't wait to go back to Australia and visit the boys. And, but Peter and Adam made it out for 2018 for my first race back. And we just had the biggest hug because I hadn't seen Peter since the crash. And so he's like my brother, it's just, there's a lot to it. So what's coming up this year? Yeah, I've got a 70.3 and I'm going to do an ultra marathon and obviously the world champs. And so I've actually been hired to go to Malaysia for 2 weeks to be a speaker and a course facilitator for a couple weeks at Warrior Camp, which was the one I did in 2000 that changed my life. So that's pretty exciting.
Excellent. Yeah, that is exciting.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for joining me today and sharing these experiences with the audience. And again, I'll have all of the links in the show notes. People can check out the Warrior Code film. It's on YouTube. And check out your scottyfit.com if they want to get in touch with you, I assume.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I got to update that website again. It's okay, but it needs to be better. I'm working on that too. There's so many things.
So many.
So many
All right. Well, thanks again, Scott. Really appreciate it. And good luck at the World Championships and getting that book done.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Larry. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for everything that you do for the 515 world. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, if you liked what you heard today, please tell a friend. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'd appreciate it if you'd rate and review the show while you're there. Drop the names of the people you think we should interview and we'll get in touch with them and make that happen. Thank you for listening to 515, the Ultra Podcast, a production of 55 Enterprises. Now really, go subscribe now before you forget.